I couldn't run. There was too much pain. Maybe I don't have that much time in the sport anymore. To be honest, I'm pretty disappointed with the course that they gave us in Paris. An Olympic distance race is quite boring to watch. This is not okay. Like I'm maybe even screwing up my career if I push through this. Two years ago now, in the WTS race in Leeds, I fell down in the end sprint. We were coming quite downhill into the finish line. I was going almost 30 km an hour, just couldn't follow my legs anymore, and I fell through my ankle on a hole that was under the blue carpet. Actually, at first I thought that I maybe broke my collarbone or my shoulder because it was super painful. And then they brought me off the finish line with a wheelchair. The shoulder healed quite quickly, like sitting there and getting a bit of treatment by a physio for 30 minutes, and I felt better. Then I got up out of the wheelchair and immediately I felt that my right ankle was very, very painful and very sore. Yeah, the first couple of days I couldn't run pretty much. There was too much pain. 2 weeks after Leeds, it started loosening up a little bit and I could run again, still with maybe 3-4 out of 10 pain level. I even decided to sign up for another World Series. That all went fine. There was some pain, some discomfort, but I could train a bit again. I did that race and actually had a top 10 result. So yeah, probably me and the people around me underestimated a little bit what was going on with that ankle, and later up it caught up on me. About 6 weeks in total after the fall down in Leeds. And I was on altitude camp. I ran that week 100 kilometers, I think. At the end of one run, I started feeling a bit more sharper pain and a bit more discomfort than I had always before. The day after, I wanted to go for my run and I put one step and I knew yes, something is wrong. We immediately called some hospitals. It's not that easy. You're in the mountains, very remote in Font-Romeu. And Andorra, we could go for a scan in the afternoon. So jump in the car, go there, and send the images to the doctors in Belgium. There was ligament damage, but there was also a lot of liquids and edema in the bone, which is definitely a lot more problematic than what we expected. At first I didn't really want to kind of believe it. I did hear some kind of horror stories from other people about similar injuries, that this is not an easy one, because an ankle, you always use it, it's weight bearing, you can't unload it very easily. But then I could still ride and swim, so I really went all out for cycling, and what I did was I made a lot of long routes around Font-Romeu, where I was at that point, and around Girona, where I was a couple weeks later, which are too far to do them in my normal training. 8 weeks after the diagnosis, I tried to restart running again with some systems like the lever system that helps you kind of unload your body a little bit more. But I still had the same pain, and I tried building it up, but I really couldn't run more than 15 minutes. I just felt this is not okay. I'm maybe even screwing up my career if I push through this. Me and Glenn kind of decided, okay, I'm just gonna take a full month off, because even the swimming, the push-off from the wall, the biking, I could feel every crack in the road, I could feel it in my ankle. That was a very difficult decision for me, because that was kind of giving up on the season and maybe even almost giving up on the start of the next season. I started just doing some things that I wanted to do. We went to the Grand Canyon. I went to St. George to support Aaron Royal, one of my good friends, who was racing. It was honestly quite a hard period, because I didn't really feel like a sportsman anymore. I kind of just started realizing that like maybe I don't have that much time in the sport anymore. And I feel like I still have a lot more to give and a lot more to show. I was starting to even doubt if I could maybe ever even reach my level of before. Yeah, so then actually after that full month off, I did another MRI scan of my ankle, and for the first time we actually saw significant improving. I did have a good month, so I was kind of out of shape. We decided to take the 1st of January pretty much as the start of the running journey again. It was a start to run program, so you're not really training. I was doing a lot of rehab exercises. Then in April, I went on a training camp to Sierra Nevada altitude camp, and that's where I started to probably run 50-60 kilometers again and introduce some intensity. Yeah, it just felt good having that feeling as an athlete, and even though maybe I was still very, very far off where I wanted to be, I felt like I was making steps in the right direction. And then actually in the middle of May, I did my first race of the year and I finished 13th, which was actually above my expectations. So that's why I did put also some focus to PTO races in the summer, which I was hoping to really be competitive and play for the win. Just 2 weeks before the first of the 2 PTO races, I crashed with my time trial bike and I broke my scapula and I bruised 5 ribs. Yeah, again, missing another 3 weeks of running in the middle of the season was very frustrating. As a short course athlete, when you are training a bit more in like the volume period, which is usually the winter, you are actually really well prepared for half distance racing. I took the break because of the bike crash in the summer, so I didn't feel like I really needed a long break or at least an early break. So I just decided, why not just sign up for some long distance races? I went to Brazil. The atmosphere there was truly amazing, and like I love the Brazilian people. And then now Bahrain as the last one of the year. This one was gonna be a bit more competitive. I haven't really raced like super wide, dense fields where there is some more racing dynamics, which is what kind of happened yesterday. It was a bit disappointing to see this honestly as well, but we came out of the water with a little group still together, and then on the bike there was a lot of guys who were taking the rules very liberally. I think they were counting 1 to 12. I think that I raced it really tactically well. On the first 50 kilometers, I did 90% of the work in the front. And if not, I was sitting in 2nd place. And then at 50 kilometers, Alistair Brownlee came to the front, and I think that he actually felt bad for me, and he kind of told me like, yeah, Martin, it doesn't make sense, man. I was sitting somewhere in the back and pushing 250 watts. I mean, yeah, I was pushing almost 350 in the front. Then I realized like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to take a different approach here. So Alistair passed, and then Wilhelm Hirsch passed, and I kind of like wanted to let another guy in between or whatever, just take a look how it was actually going on in the back, but they didn't pass me. So then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let them go away and someone else has to close it. And they took like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, and that's when we arrived on the Formula 1 circuit, which was probably the only little bit technical section, and it also goes a bit up and down there. And then I just was like, okay, I'm gonna go now, I'm gonna go all out. So I just went the whole circuit all out, and I was able to bridge back up to Hirsch and Brownlee, and we managed to break away from them. So yeah, that was, I was very afraid after that I killed myself. Like my heart rate was almost maxed out, and after that I had to take a bit of a breather, and my legs were just burning, and I was quite insecure of how my run was gonna go. I didn't have the best transition, so I was a bit behind Hirsch, so I tried to close the gap immediately, and I saw that we had about 1.5 minutes to the chase pack, who were still like 5 or 6 guys together. And in the first kilometers I lost a little bit of time. Once they were also in the middle of a hard effort. I think everything kind of consolidated and I kind of started gaining time on them again. It never got that close that I was super worried, but I also didn't have the time to like just comfortably jog around and enjoy the half marathon. So it was very hard until the finish line. When you cross the line, obviously, like you feel a lot of emotions, like it's just happiness, reward. Yeah, that the perseverance of the last 2 years, that it is all worth it. These races were more like in between goals of having a really, really good winter and like putting a good foundation for an amazing 2024, and obviously still gunning for a medal in Paris. To be honest, I'm pretty disappointed with the course that they gave us in Paris. Like, it's something that I've always been a bit advocating for with World Triathlon. They need more interesting courses because an Olympic distance race is quite boring to watch, to be honest. But there's nothing else I can do than to give it my all. I hope to top the podium in Taupo next year. I hope to get some starts in PTO races, and I hope to really make it hard for the other guys there as well. I want to race the best and see where I stack up against them. Yeah, I think that if I can just get back to my level of 2021 and hopefully surpass that, that will be really like kind of the end of these bad 2 years. I want to make a new top to my career, and I hope that's going to be 2024.